All right, the governance committee meeting is called to order at 5:30. And I think the first item on our agenda is to try and wrap up the employee handbook. I had made a bunch of little edits and things and some comments, and I know that Natalie today was going through and kind of resolving everything. So I think we're pretty much done. I had a couple just last things that I wanted to touch. I think everything's probably fine as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if anybody else has anything. I saw the last open things that the piece on the payroll corrections,
Yep,
some language was added in saying to the extent it's allowable by law or something
By
like
the
that.
contracts, yeah.
Yeah. So again, I'm still skeptical that we can do that, but if we're saying, well, to the extent allowed by law, whatever, there's something like that, then it's fine with me. There was the one part about that we previously had said the employees assign their rights to inventions or things or,
Yep.
and the language was changed to say something like they acknowledge that the library has ownership of those things, something like that. I don't necessarily love that language because I think that acknowledged language, it's like kind of suggesting this is like, some like there's some operative effect of this, and we've said, repeatedly, this is not a contract. You can't rely on this as a contract, whatever. So if we're having employees saying we're acknowledging that that the libraries have these rights, I mean, but it's good enough. I don't know. That's something we can.
Yeah, I mean, that's
in a future year.
pretty much what Erin said. She was like, you're right, it's not gonna hold up in court,
Yeah.
but it's just the understanding, like, this is how you're going to behave professionally, that like, yes, if you took something, like, I keep
Yeah.
using the example of Jocelyn's Skyfront story time, like, you're absolutely allowed to go and do story time Skyfriends at another library, but we are as well, because that was created here. It's just that you can't charge us like $25 every time we use that, so it's just that understanding.
I think I would have just preferred language that was just like us just asserting that the library owns that, those things that are, without saying like you acknowledge that this or that, because that's more like trying to say you're agreeing to this and we're not, nobody's agreeing to anything. It's not a contract. We're just telling them this is the rules that we're laying down as the library. But I can live with it. It's fine.
Mike, can you remind me the page we're on, please?
I don't know the current page numbers because
It's under outside employment.
Sorry.
13.
Right. So it's the last sentence of that section, or I think. I don't know the current wording, but.
Employees acknowledge that any intellectual property created by employees for the benefit of Yale Laurelland Public Library and created during library time using library resources become the property of the library and cannot be taken by the employee for the purposes of additional or future employment without express written consent of the library.
Again, I can live with that, or I'm fine with that.
You mentioned does that mean that Skyfriends, the brand, can't go anywhere but GPL?
No, it can. It's just that Jocelyn, like, because I keep using Jocelyn as the example, but it's just that she can't like charge us. Like, she doesn't own it. It's not copyrighted.
That's not how I read this, right? So property of the library can't be taken for the purpose of additional or future employment without the express written consent of the library. I read this to say that Skyfriends can't be put on anywhere by anyone else unless the library consents to it being done.
Yes, how we're interpreting it is that Jocelyn can't take it with her and we can no longer use it. So she can go and still do story time, but she
You
can't.
can't call it Skyfront.
And look, she can call it Skyfriends. She just can't say that we can't do it.
Sure.
So it's like
Is that,
it's like you're leaving the work here.
Sure.
This be abridged to intellectual property created by employees for the benefit of GPL and created during library time using library resources become property of the library, period. Does that accomplish the same goal?
I'd be fine with that.
And we get rid of employees acknowledge, and then we get rid of
So this,
cannot be taken.
this right here?
Yeah, get rid of that.
Yeah. Like,
And I would pull the first 5 words of that, first 4 words, employees acknowledge that any. And then you just make intellectual property the start of it, and then you get rid of that contract piece, and then we get rid of this,
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it just starts with intellectual property?
created by employees for the benefit of Gildan Public Library and created during library time, using library resources, becomes property of the library. What does created during library time mean?
Like you're on the clock and you're creating.
Oh, yeah,
Even
like
if
the
you're
librarian
not
time.
physically-
Right, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then the only other things, there was the two, so the social media policy.
I put our old one
I
in,
put the
yeah.
old one back in. I had raised them before, I had like a little concern with, I don't think it's fully enforceable as written, just because like the law does, there is the balancing test where if employees are speaking of something that's a matter of public interest, then, employers are, public employers is limited in how much they can restrict their speech on that. It's a hard thing to write into a policy. I think as like an aspirational thing, we're saying, look, we want you to bring things through proper channels and not just go to the newspaper or do whatever. But, to the extent, I don't think in practice we'd be able to enforce that to the letter of the policy. Again, it's hard to frame that, but if somebody had some issue of concern where they thought the library was being mismanaged in some way or something like that, and they felt like it was an important enough thing that they needed to alert the public to, and they went to the papers for it, they might win on that, and we wouldn't be able to stop them from doing that or punish them for doing that. But it's a balancing test, so it's very it's hard to, put into, a clear policy language when it's, so I don't know that I have any constructive, better wording to offer that would.
Make it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this was the language, like Allison and I
Yeah.
didn't touch this one. This was what was in the one from 10 years ago.
So, yeah, so I'm, that might be something to look at in the future, pass through and see if we can, do something with it, but at least for now, I can live with it. I saw also the workplace violence, we had referenced a policy, but we don't actually have a separate workplace.
Yep, so I
violence
changed-
policy. Now it says it's like this section
Yeah.
of the existing policy. I think, if I'm remembering this, because I looked into this months back when we were looking at doing a revision to the discrimination harassment policy, that we were supposed to have some sort of workplace violence statement that the library is supposed to
we're supposed to post it somewhere. aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
In the break room? Or like
Maybe.
our staff area?
yeah.
Possibly, and then there's like a model one that the state provides, but we're supposed to do that. And I think there's some discussion, I don't know if that's something that needs to be a board adopted thing or just something that the library just, the library administration just posts as part of our obligations, whatever, but that's something to, because we don't have a separate standalone workplace violence policy. I just, we should try and make sure we're compliant with whatever we're supposed to do on it.
Got it.
And they can just do that.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think it's something the board, because it's just a generic, there's a standard, like a state sample statement, workplace violence statement or something like that. I think we could just adopt whatever the standard state one is, and post it up on the.
You know.
I don't have anything else on the handbook, so unless anybody else had any other lingering questions or issues or things.
Yeah, I got just a couple of formatting things as we're zipping through here. If you can start at probationary period, under probationary period. I'm in the document, so I see when your cursor appears here. Under Performance review, the next section under performance review, looks like we need a new line between permanent and performance review.
Going too far.
Oh, yeah.
Is that near the, yeah.
Where are we?
Come down to the bottom of that section. Yeah, so upon completion of the bottom of that section, the last line of probationary period, looks like we just need a new line between upon completion of probation, the HR manager will issue a letter, et cetera. Line.
Over here, okay.
Yeah, there she is.
Right, so this perform, I don't know if you've, been
Okay.
enter.
Period, oh, you want the word period?
No,
No.
I want a new line, like a,
Maybe it doesn't show up like that and maybe, so see how that runs together there? Or performance reviews, the new section.
sit next to you.
Yeah, please, because I am not seeing it unless someone.
It might
Get
just,
this.
Is it under
might
just
just
look
be-
like that.
review?
Permanent, like after the end of permanent. I click right there
Mhm.
and hit enter.
There you go.
There were a couple more in here that I just saw, sorry.
I have, if we're on just like little cleanup things, on the social media policy that was put
Yeah,
back
that
in,
was just put in.
there's some extra spaces between
Yeah,
words.
the ones, and the actual numbers, yep,
What's that? No, in
the things that are numbered.
in the first paragraph of the social media policy part, like the very first paragraph of that, just between words, there's some extra like double spaces here and there, like some gaps in the.
Anybody know how to turn on
I can. Sorry, I
I
don't.
know what it is in Word, I don't know what it is in Google Docs.
What are you trying to?
To like,
View
Oh.
visible characters.
I don't know, isn't that, sorry, I don't,
No, you're fine, Mike.
but, you, so scroll up from here. All right, well, there encourages, there's an extra space in there, and there was, where else in there? I thought there was.
Oh, and or
Oh,
disrupted.
yeah, right there.
Remember
And,
that space before slash.
oh, yeah. Slash or. Is there any more visible? That might be it. I don't know. It's just a couple.
If you can-
Matt, what else you got?
Time and a half. Get rid of that. So the next one after that. Capitalize H. Then we're looking for. Compensation on the jobs. Compensation. I'm sorry, conversations. Conversations on the job. Capitalize J.
Good.
Yes. Oh, the Gilman Public Library, just.
Yeah, I already made a note for Caroline to fix that, because there was like an extra layer of something on there, so she's gotta fix it. 'Cause she added in the stuff, so it's like tied to it.
Yeah, okay. Go to internet use. Two bullets. Scroll a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, above?
Right here. Right. Yeah, and then- Accident/injury. Accident/space. That one, yeah, you're that space there. I think that's probably enough.
And we will have Caroline, and Amy review
Yeah.
A bunch- a bunch.
termination,
suspension terms.
Suspension space slash. That one, you know, you're that. I think this has consumed enough time.
It's nice to make it as clean as we can
Yeah.
reasonably do, but yeah. could there be-
And like I said, our marketing person is gonna go through it
Right.
too, and really clean it up.
Well, I am gonna move that we recommend to the full board, the adoption of this as the new employee handbook. So that's my motion, okay? Second by Barb. And that's, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you all.
Passed it unanimously
We did
at
it.
5:45. And it's today's date, the second?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so, that's good. So we got the handbook out of the way. The other two policies that we were kind of have started, that we started talking about a little bit last week, and I sent around some comments on, is the trustee education policy and the photo and video policy. I don't know if there's one that people want to look at first.
Question on the video policy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This part here, unless I'm not having a newer copy.
there's a version, I don't have it, oh, no, I do have it, it's in here somewhere. This is the version, maybe ignore my little notes on here, but Matt had sent this around last month. And it's a much more stripped down, kind of streamlined version of the policy, and that's what my comments were kind of addressed to this version that he had sent around.
Okay.
So I'll just run through what my comments were on there. The one is, I don't know if it's necessary to say or not, but we refer to like patrons who object to their use of their photo, and we don't say anything about children or like, parents or guardians objecting to their children's photos. Do we feel like we need to say that explicitly, or is that kind of like,
I think it's implied.
kind of assumed?
Yeah.
Like if you say patrons objecting and a parent comes and objects, I mean, you kind of
Yeah.
expect they're gonna treat it that way.
I think that's right.
I just wanted to raise it, but I'm okay with just leaving that assumed if we think that's a reasonable, reasonable person would read that and think. Okay. My second one was about the enforcement stuff that's in the second paragraph under library patrons, where we're talking about, including involving law enforcement and saying the discretion of the director or whoever's charged. I thought we would be cleaner just to kind of refer back to the rules of public behavior policy instead of kind of being specific about in this policy, just saying, look, if you're, doing this in a way that annoys or harasses or impedes the use of the library by other patrons, then this, will be, deemed to be a violation of our public behavior policy and will be dealt with accordingly under that policy or whatever. So I had suggested some language, but, I'm not wedded to this specific suggestion I made, but I don't know if anyone has any.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay, so the first sentence doesn't change, right?
Right.
The word will include photography and or videography, form would be then to annoy, harass, alarm, otherwise interfering with patrons' ability to enjoy the library services.
Yeah, and then
Okay,
the
there we
end
go.
is what I changed is beyond that, I guess.
Can I say as determined by the director or their designee? We want to say that?
Yeah, I'm okay. I mean, what is our public behavior policy? I don't have it in front of me. What does that say about who, I think about who can enforce that or how that, do we? Because I think we talked about this before. I think we phrased that in such a way that it was clear that, because there was I remember when we did I think this was last year, when we revised the public behavior policy, there had previously been a concern that everything that was a behavior issue, people felt like everything had to be escalated up to the director to get a determination, and they wanted to give more kind of authority to the, frontline staff to, in the first instance. So I don't know how we phrase it in that policy. I'm trying to pull it
All
up.
right, that's fine. I think.
It says directs the library director to institute the necessary proceedings of enforcement. So does that mean like the director could say like, hey, department heads, you need to enforce this?
No.
I don't
I don't know what they intended there. It's a
Yeah,
little vague.
I'm not sure now. It's, yeah,
Mm.
I don't remember what the theory was.
And it says hereby adopts the following rules of behavior and direct the library director to institute the necessary proceedings of enforcement. And then it's
Okay, how do we feel about, so I think a couple of things in here. I think one, we take away the direct mention of the library director, their designee. I don't think we need to have that in there. I think we also take away the discretion to say that it may be considered, right, that we put the onus on somebody to make that decision, and we just say that this conduct is considered disruptive. Right, so then the line becomes photography and or videography performed with the intent to annoy, harass, or alarm other patrons, or otherwise interfering with other patrons' ability to enjoy the library's services is considered disruptive conduct under those rules, and I don't like dealt with, I said it may be escalated accordingly.
Less threatening.
It's less threatening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. I don't, so you change, instead of saying it will be deemed disruptive speech or conduct, you just say is considered disruptive conduct or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine, under the rules of public behavior, and maybe, I don't know that I love escalated. I agree, dealt with doesn't quite sound right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of another like.
Yeah.
And will be responded to accordingly. Better, not great.
Better, not great.
I mean, is it an escalation?
I mean,
Addressed?
I was gonna say, yeah, what do you want?
oh, yeah, addressed, how's addressed? How about will be addressed accordingly? Right, does that work? That works for me, I like that.
I'm quite happy.
All right.
Okay, so then patrons are expected to comport themselves in accordance with the library's rules of public behavior. Photography and or videography performed with the intent to annoy, harass, or alarm other patrons, or otherwise interfering with other patrons' ability to enjoy the library's services is considered a disruptive conduct under those rules and will be addressed accordingly.
That works for me.
I think there's a question in here about like who makes the determination of intent.
I mean,
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to.
I think that's gonna be an issue with any of the rules of public behavior, like somebody has to, make the call on, when things cross a line from, being disruptive versus, whatever, I wouldn't try and spell that out. And
My other thought is we remove the intent. Right, photography and or videography that annoys, harasses, or alarms other patrons. Or otherwise interferes with, et cetera, et cetera. But then that's like heckler's veto territory, right?
Yeah. So they could come in and be filming in a way that is intended to be disruptive and everyone's just okay with it.
Yeah. The opposite could be true, right?
Aren't I annoying you? No.
I don't know, I don't have a strong feeling.
I think it's okay to leave it in 10.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
And then you had another comment about here in media.
Yeah, my last comment was about the media thing. I don't want to give the impression because it says, and the intent of this is if you have some like, news, Channel 10 or whatever wants to come in and film something about the library, they'll come in, ask the desk and say, hey, we'd like to get some footage and we can work with them and say, okay, here's what you can do and not disrupt people in the library, this, whatever, like work with them. But I don't want to give the impression that like, we are necessarily going to help people. I mean, anybody can call themselves a media organization and come in and say they want to film. And we're not necessarily want to put ourselves in a position where we're going to say, yeah, we're going to help you out with whatever your thing is here.
So
And
would it be like approved media organizations?
I mean,
Can we just rely on May to do that work? Right? We request that media organizations check in at the front desk so that library staff may assist.
yeah, it's the so that does it, right? Because this, if you say so that library staff may, like that,
Yeah.
that kind of suggests that
They
we're
won't.
going to like
Mhm.
assist them. So
Could we make it just two separate sentences,
When-
like check in
Would
at
you
the desk,
want them to
period,
Show them where they can film and,
if
Well,
possible?
it's like, what if you get somebody who's coming in here and they're kind of calling themselves a media organization, and maybe they have a web page where they post, things or whatever, but their real intent is to just film something that's gonna stir up, hostility or stir up whatever. They're just trying to, cause tension and rile things up or whatever. Do we want to be in a position where we were gonna say, oh, we're gonna help you out, get the footage you need, when we know that they're here for kind of not a
but
positive
then
purpose?
you're censoring.
No, we're not stopping them from filming. We're just saying we're not gonna actively help you out.
Right.
We're letting them, they can film just like anyone else can film. We're saying in the policy, you're allowed to film as long as you're not disrupting people's use of the library. So they're allowed to do it. It's kind of, we want to say, look, as a courtesy, we'd like you to let us know. And maybe we do break it into two sentences and say, as a courtesy, GPL requests that media organizations check in at the front desk if they intend to, media organizations, intending to film or take, take photographs at the library, check in at the desk. And then separate sentence, the library may, in its discretion, help, facilitate, getting, footage without disrupting other patrons' use of the library or whatever, but leave it like in our discretion,
Right.
Something like that, just so it's, we're not kind of implying that, any media organization, whoever that may be, that we're necessarily going to help them out. We're just saying, as a courtesy, we'd like you to check in. We may, in our discretion, help facilitate. Because again, there may be, if it's a local news channel that wants to come in and do some little feature on some new program the library has or whatever, we may very well want to facilitate and be like, yeah, come on in. Let's, here's what we're doing. Come in, we'll show you.
Yeah,
you know,
speak to
or
this
whatever.
person, speak to
Right,
that person.
so we may actively want to facilitate and help them get the footage they want. We may want to just be like, okay, thanks for checking in.
We may not
you know.
have the time to do it. or
Yeah,
understand,
right. Staff may not have the time, but somebody may check in and we might just be like, okay, just make sure you're not disrupting people and you do what you want to do, and that's the end of it. So I just want to leave it open and not imply that we're necessarily gonna kind of help people out.
So as a courtesy, I'm gonna take out as a courtesy.
That's
right?
fine if you want to say
It
that.
is a request, right? So GPL requests that media organizations check in at the front desk so as to minimize disruption of the library's operations. The library may, at its discretion, assist in facilitating those organizations' need to gather content.
You could leave it at that, or you could just leave it in the discretion. Once they check in, if you're expecting somebody to come from Channel 10 to do one of your kids' programs, and, oh, I'll get Susie, type of thing, rather than saying that you're gonna facilitate. Just, they
Just
check in,
leave that sentence out. Just say,
Just that
GPL
single
requests that we check in at the front
check
desk.
in at the front desk.
Less is more.
Okay, yeah, I'm okay with that. And sometimes the result of that check-in would be whoever they check in with just says, okay, just make sure you're not make sure you're not bothering people and that's fine. And other times they might be like, oh,
Here to film such and such, oh,
Yeah.
I'll get.
let me go get
better children's
the,
for you.
right, so-and-so that can help you out with that. Yeah, I'm good with that. You're right. Sometimes less is more.
Do we want to just say like, gee, so I have that so as to minimize disruption of the library's operations. Do we want to just like nix that entirely and say GPL requests that media organizations check in at the front desk? Period.
Just asking them to check in so you know that they're here. You don't want to differentiate as this one does between
yeah, I,
photographers and videographers.
well, that's the thing. Do we want to say media organizations seeking to record photos or videos on GPL premises or something like that? Just to narrow, I mean, I guess the only other thing they'd be doing is just coming in to take notes or trying to interview someone or whatever.
Media organizations engaged in the course of their work.
I mean, I think because this is specifically a photography and videography policy, maybe we just say, media organizations, seeking to take photographs or record video or something, whatever. Check in at the front desk, and do we want to stop it right there, or do we say check in the front desk in order to minimize disruption or whatever that language was. I could go either way.
Yeah, I don't think it matters either
I
way.
think you have that up here though.
Yeah, we have
Thing
the,
that's harassing.
we have the
Yeah.
prohibition up there.
Right.
It's fine. GPL requests that media organizations intending to engage in photography and or videography check in at the front desk.
Yeah.
Great.
I think that's good. Do you don't think we want to say like as a courtesy, like, because we're not, we don't want to, we're not saying it's like a requirement or you're violating our rules
Sure.
if you don't check in, right?
Well, I think it's pretty, a request is not a directive,
Yeah,
right?
I'm okay with it either way. I just, that's fine.
I think that's fine.
I agree.
All right.
I'm gonna pull draft out of this at the top, and then,
Dave did, he sent that out on.
I sent it, and it would have been like a month ago. I will find it for you.
Oh, that's why I maybe don't see it.
Yeah, it was a little
March
while
10th?
because we
That one was?
talked about it at the last
March 10th.
month's meeting.
It's a link to the Google Drive,
I wasn't,
March 10th.
March 10th.
It's part of the chain of the March committee meeting
Oh, that's right. There was like a,
that you sent on, that Mike sent on the 27th.
March 9th. March 10th. Yep.
right. All right. Well, unless anyone has anything further, does everybody, people feel happy with what we've got right now then?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll see if I can find it for you. Let me see if I can pull it up for Barb real quick and then we'll get on that. Maybe that one. Oh, 11.
Just resend.
I can just resend it. That's gonna be faster.
Missed that one somehow.
What's that?
I said I missed that one somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, there were, it was
Didn't hit me.
there was a kind of a long chain that was, there was a bunch of like replies on it, so.
Okay, that should be arriving like right now.
What?
It should be arriving
Should be
right now.
coming. There it goes.
Oh, there's the link. Go up. Back up. Right there. Right. That's right. Right. Right here.
Ah,
Ooh. Right there. There you go.
there we go.
That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
All right, and this,
Didn't get this one.
and this is the, you just revised.
I
this,
just revised
so-
in place, yes.
So if you want to take a look and if everybody is good with what we've got, I'll put a motion out there, then I'm gonna make the motion that we move, for the full, as a committee, move, for the full board to adopt this new photography and videography policy. And, all right.
Just kidding.
All right, when you're done reading, just let me know, Barb, and then we'll take our vote.
Just letting folks know I added a parentheses GPL after the first mention of Gilman Public Library.
I mean, it's the library's policy at the end of the probably.
Yeah.
All right, we're, then all in favor?
Aye.
All right, that one passes at 6:05 unanimously. Okay. All right, so that's out of the way. So that brings us to the trustee education policy. Now, unfortunately, I had, I don't know, I'm curious what other people think. The one issue I have, which I haven't got a kind of legal opinion on, I put it into the Ask a Lawyer, the library Ask a Lawyer thing, but I haven't gotten a response yet, is on whether we can use our fiscal year, our operating year, July to June, instead of a calendar year for it. And the statute, all it says is annually, and it doesn't define, it doesn't say a specific year they're using, it just says annually. There is a group of, like a consortium of libraries out in Western New York, and they put their guidance out, and we're recommending that people do it according to the term year, just because it fits more with library operations. Natalie had pulled up last time the annual reporting form that the library is supposed to submit every year, and that was assuming it was calendar year in that form.
Yeah, I mean, the new one, they did release the new one, it's as of now, so it is calendar. But that's just because like the platform that we used for the
Yeah.
original, they went out of business, so we had a new one. So we're on like this weird timeline anyway. I don't know if that's going to be the same for next year.
Yeah, well, the question is if we adopt a reporting thing if we adopt a policy that says everybody needs to do their hours based on our fiscal year, is that going to cause us headaches when we report to the state through this form, because it doesn't line up, or is that going to be a problem, or do we just, is there any place we can put an explanatory
Yeah,
note?
there's a note. I can absolutely put a note in.
Okay.
And just
so we
say
can
like,
say
we can't speak to this, but we know for this fiscal year that we've been tracking.
We've done our fiscal year,
Yeah.
and so we can get through that. It'd be nice if we got an opinion from the Ask a Lawyer thing, because I think that would pretty much, if they publish on their website on this Ask a Lawyer thing and say, oh yeah, it's totally fine, then, I think it'd be pretty easy to rely on that. Does anybody have a strong opinion one way or the other on the calendar year versus our operating year?
I think we should do whatever's easiest for us.
I just think you get weird things where, if you're doing a calendar year, if somebody's on the last year
Yeah.
of their term, they got that 6 months where, are they really gonna do are they gonna feel like they have to do the training and stuff when they're only there for 6 months? It's gonna be, I guess it's not enforceable in the last year anyway, if they're not running for reelection, but it just, I don't know, it just feels neater if everything lines up from when the trustees are actually coming on and off the board.
I
But
agree.
That makes sense.
yeah,
So I would change
You're
it
saying the current
to,
system lines up.
well, we don't have a policy yet about.
No, but I'm saying the way the reporting now is, it's July to July. It's not January to December.
Well, right now, the reporting, I think we've been reporting based on a calendar year so far, right? Like when we have had to put in numbers.
so when do you do the annual report?
We're doing it right now.
Okay, so because that's
So
when.
usually in normal years, it's been submitted by now.
Do you submit it July to July or January?
I'm trying to bring up our old report to see what we've done before.
Yeah.
And I can get back to you on that.
All right.
Because right now I have the new one and that's saying report everything as it is now as February 2026.
Oh, as of
Because
February,
because
yeah.
it's so
Just trying
delayed.
to catch things.
Yeah, it's so delayed that this year is complete, like you can't use this year at all.
Okay.
So I'm trying to look up last year's.
While she looks that up, do we just want to do the easier one, which
Oh,
I,
fantastic.
if no one has
Gotcha.
objection, I
Same
think
email.
changing it to 6 months.
Yeah, so that was the other comment was we have in here, we're requiring new trustees to take the core training within a year of their appointment. And
Yeah.
one of the questions was, do we want to make that 6 months instead? So if you're brand new,
I think it's
do,
good.
and because UHLS offers it quarterly, so it's available to people,
Yeah.
And, it's probably better for people to kind of just get up to speed quickly sooner rather than later.
I agree.
All right,
Everyone have it.
I concur.
all right,
And I will change that to 6
so that's an easy one.
months. That's the easy one.
This,
The third one too? Oh, yeah, the president thing. So you're right. I looked back and you're right, it's inconsistent.
it's, it seems like a little, like stupid thing. The statute specifically says,
President.
file it with the president of the board of trustees. And we put in the president or their designee. I mean, that seems totally reasonable to me that, you know.
That was
like,
Pete's edition.
Delegate. Yeah,
Because he was, yeah.
and, you know, we can have, you know, it seems reasonable and, you know, I don't know if it's like implicit that the president can delegate that to someone else, but I mean, as it's written, the statute says file it with the president. So I don't know if our,
Part of it is for years, we just given it to Amy or John.
yeah,
Yeah.
but,
I mean, yeah, it was just,
so it's kind of, you know,
It says calendar year for last report.
that's when the reporting goes, so we're reporting by
Yeah, it says,
calendar.
I attest that all trustees participated in the trustee education in the last calendar year, 2024. If entering no, provide exclamation and a no.
So a new trustee would have to take their,
So we could say no, and just in the note saying we run fiscal year and we track their, we could do that.
If we run fiscal year and we require 6 months, then you still get it.
Well, for the brand new.
for the new.
that trustee training is easily 2 hours.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
they would have that done in that calendar year that they got elected, right?
Yeah,
And then they'd be on to like the calendar year, which would comport with what they do.
I guess I would, you know, I would suggest, and hopefully I'll get a response from that Ask a Lawyer thing soon, but I think, you know, I say maybe we go with the operating year or fiscal year, however we want to frame it, and if we get an answer back that says, no, you can't do that before the meeting this month, then we change it back. Say, oh, well, I guess that didn't work.
I mean, you asked like a month ago, how long does it usually take?
It was only a couple weeks ago and I think I didn't say it was like super urgent because they had something, if it's like an emergency, you can say it's an emergency. I didn't want to say it's an emergency. So I think they said, I think it was like within 21 days they were supposed to do it, which I don't think I don't think they're late on what I put in yet. So hopefully it won't be that long. I don't know.
What do we think? Do we change it and hedge our bets, or do we just?
It's still a couple weeks till our board meeting, right?
Let's do what's good for us, right? And if we hear that it doesn't.
I say we go fiscal year, and if they come back, you know, next week or whatever, we get the thing and it says, no, you need to do calendar year, then we'll say, okay, let's quick change it back and
All right.
deal with it.
So.
And then, so then it would be,
Oh, yeah, instead of December, okay, so if we're gonna take
July.
designee out too, unfortunately. Evidence of number of hours, I know that. To the board president by. Do we wanna say the end of the fiscal year or give a date?
I think we say July 31st, because that's our,
Of each year. And I'll let Pete know we changed that, because it was something we just.
so the other things, the one tiny, I just thought under the cost there, we say modest and reasonable costs. I mean, I would just say reasonable costs. I
That's-
mean,
Yeah.
you know,
We leave it as a may versus a will.
I think May is fine. And then if people want to, you know, be sure that there's, you know, it says subject to necessary funds. If people want to kind of be sure, then make sure you ask ahead of time and you should be, I mean, if there's so much free things available that if somebody's spending money, they really ought to be asking ahead of time. They're expecting to get. And then, so then the last thing I had, the kind of penalty provision here, the
Yeah.
failure of a trustee, and the concern I just that we don't have anything in our bylaws that kind of says they're allowed to kind of strip people certain powers or rights or anything like that. There is a provision in state law that says we can remove or suspend, suspend somebody's, you know, position if there's a neglect of duty or other things like that. So I think we could, follow those procedures in theory. If some, if this is a duty, as a trustee, this and that, in theory, and say, until they, come current on their try and incorporate something like that. But in order to just, this is not like how this is enforced or how this works. It just says, if you haven't done this, it may result in a limitation. It doesn't say who's going to determine that limitation is going to happen or what the limitation is or how this, it's kind of just this general.
But why does it say it has to be submitted within 90 days?
So this came from sample policies that are out there from the New York State Library Association.
Yeah,
That said, let me see.
well, that one actually, because that one just calls for, it says.
Yes, I'm talking about the 90 days.
Yeah, well, yeah, that one says the trustee will be suspended from
Right.
duty until.
We were trying to water down what they had. They wanted us to
Oh.
just kick someone off.
Well, the date, they have the December 31st, so they're going calendar year, but they say if they fail to submit the completion by that date, the trustee will be suspended from duty. Suspension, fail to provide evidence of completion within 90 days, they'll be assumed to have resigned from the board. Again, I that too doesn't kind of, it just like seems like it's saying that's just going to automatically happen or whatever. I mean,
And I don't buy that at all.
yeah,
I mean, if somebody gets elected in July and they have commitments and for that fall and they can't make those things, but they make the one in the, if you want to make a timetable that you
So-
completed it within, what,
The-
7 months or something like that, and, or show that you're signed up for something, those last 3 months, but
so the provision in the state law that says that we're allowed to suspend or terminate a trustee, it basically, you do it by majority vote, but it requires there to be a written complaint by a trustee that some other trustee has failed in their duty. So you have to have a written complaint and you have to give them at least a week's notice. So you have to give them a written complaint and then at least a week before you have a meeting, and then there has to be a majority vote to do it. So it's kind of a cumbersome, it's like it's a real process that you have to, have. We could just kind of invoke that and just say failure of a trustee to complete their, or submit their evidence of
to show an evidence.
by this thing may be grounds for suspension pursuant to that law. And, and then say, failure to, failure to remedy this may be grounds for termination under the same provision, something like that. Just leave it as maybe, and then, and then, if it comes up, we.
Right, so
Well,
say
that's
that.
it, because some people may not be able to do it until later in the year,
Yeah, that's why we were trying to water down that language, but I like what you're saying even better. Okay, say that again. So failure of a trustee to submit evidence of completion in 90 days
I would just say by the
of the end of
deadline.
the fiscal year.
No, yeah, the end of the fiscal year, yeah.
We gotta say that. So you just want to say the end of the fiscal year, so we're not
I
giving,
was gonna say, do you
Well,
want
because-
to wait
because we're
until
already
the end
saying-
of the year, or
like, give them a little.
like
Well, if we're,
8 months in, or 7 months in, that they have to show either that they've completed the work or that they are signed up for something. Because if you wait a whole year,
I think that could be more of a,
I think that's gonna be intense. Like, I don't know how they're
Well,
gonna.
it might be something that we just implement, not as a policy, but as a compliance thing, just have like Amy or whoever's tracking the hours to just say, okay, once we get halfway through the year, anybody who hasn't done their hours yet, give them a reminder. Then when we get another month or two later, if they still haven't done it, give them another reminder. So people have several reminders before the end of the year comes around. But I don't think we need that in a policy. That could be just something we try and implement as a, just a courtesy to board members to remind people, hey, you got to stay on top of your thing or whatever. I would just say, look, if we said in here, you need to submit these by the end of the year, by the July 31st. If you haven't done it,
By the end.
it may be grounds for suspension, under that thing,
Statute.
under that statute. And then, failure to come into compliance may be grounds for termination under that same statute. Something like that.
May result in suspension. Yeah. Pursuant. Did you say in your email what the statute site was?
Yeah, it's education law, section 226, paragraph 8.
26, section 8. Okay, so. Salaries. Failure of a trustee to submit evidence of completion by the end of fiscal year may result in suspension pursuant to education law 226H. And just leave it at that.
We could add another sentence that just says like, something like failure to come into compliance, with, like, failure to come within a reasonable time after suspension may be grounds for termination under provision.
Out. Within a reasonable amount of time from what, did you say?
After suspension,
Oh,
like
yeah.
I said. So if we suspend somebody and then they don't, within a reasonable time, come back into compliance, then we say, okay,
May result
now.
in termination. Good to me. Anybody have anything else on this one?
That's all I had.
The line's longer on the self-assurance.
What was
I
it?
didn't make the form, we just took it.
Oh,
Yeah, just the
Yeah, yeah.
lines.
Okay.
Very, very important.
The cost of the continuing education. Or if we were these courses, Jenna or Amy would sign us up, send in the $40 or whatever it was, if there was a cost. So do we really want to say maybe reimburse? How many, none of these courses,
Cost anything,
Mm.
yeah.
And,
do we have to say that?
and well, we have a budget line that's for like board,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
board development and stuff. So I mean, it says, subject to necessary funding. But I mean, these things are usually really cheap and we
Right.
barely use that line at all. As long as it's a reasonable price, I think it's gonna be, I think I don't have a problem as it is. I mean, if you think we should say it differently or rephrase it.
Well, instead of maybe reimbursed, will be reimbursed.
Subject. Yeah, and it does say it has to be reasonable cost, so say if it's reasonable, it will be reasonable. Will be reimbursed, so already if it's not reasonable.
Right,
I'm okay with will be.
change the may to will.
Subject to necessary, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
It's exciting. It's a productive meeting.
Yeah, so-
3 different things we're gonna have to bring to the.
We'll make the
board?
lines longer
Or be-
and clean up a little.
I'll get in there and I'll like comment your formatting and stuff.
Just want to do it on
All right,
on my phone.
so with those amendments, does anybody have anything else they wanna change on that, or are we in good shape?
Now, in all the other places where it say state education law, it's capitalized and
I know, I'm gonna change all that stuff and make
if
sure.
that needs to be done or not. Like when we have pursuant to education law, pursuant to.
Yeah,
state
I haven't
education
done,
law.
I haven't done that yet. I'm gonna clean
I
that up.
I think we can just say educational law. I mean, I don't think we need to say New York State there. I mean, I know it's up at the top. It says,
Yeah.
the first thing, it says New York State
Right.
educational, but I mean, we're a New York library. What other education laws are gonna be? It's-
Okay.
I don't know. Anything else before we just do a vote? All right, well, I will make the motion then that we, as a committee, move the full board to adopt this new trustee education policy.
Second.
Okay,
See, we just traded.
everybody here got a second?
Yes, very
Good. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, passes at 6:27. All right, so I think that'll be it for today. I had circulated before comments and markup of the bylaw questions, some were, some suggestions, it's a work in progress. So I want to kind of keep moving on that, and hopefully by the end of, before the end of this year, that we can get a revised version of the bylaws. So we've got, what is it, April? So we've got 2 more months after this, May and June, to try and get something in for, and actually, to vote on it this year, we need to get it, because the bylaws need to be presented a meeting before they're voted on. But the bylaws, we have to present, we can't vote on them on the same meeting that we present them at. Ideally, we want to get the bylaws in front of the full board by May in order that we can vote on them in June before this year is up.
We have 2 trustees up for.
Yep.
How many slots? And so who's up?
Me and Tony.
Matt.
Oh, yeah, Tony.
Oh, Matt and Tony?
Yeah,
Is Tony gonna run again?
he is.
Okay.
Yep.
You are.
You can't get rid of me like that.
Yeah, so I don't know, we'll have to see if anybody else, throws their hat in the ring and gets on the ballot, but, I feel like we've got a productive board right now, so if we were 2 spots would be fine with me this year. We'll see. What's that?
No, that's good.
Oh, I found some on the, it was on the Ask a Little. We have these uneven terms because we've got
Right.
two people get elected. Or get elected one year, just because the way things fell out after we reduced us down from 11 seats to 9 seats, that's the way it ended up. And part of it was when we changed from 5-year terms to 3-year terms, just the way everything fell when all that stuff happened. We ended up with these uneven numbers. I found that there's apparently a accepted way of fixing that, which is that in a year where you're going to have more than the usual number, you vote to have a special short term for one of the things that on the ballot. So instead of having all, like the year that we have 4 up on the ballot, instead of having all 4 of those be for 3-year terms, we'd only have 3 of them be for 3-year terms. The other one would be for short term that would make it come up next the same year as the 2 that are up, and then that would get things back on a 3-year cycle. So it would just be for one single election, we'd have a short term for one of the offices, and then everything would fall into a 3 every year thing. So we might want to think about that for the year that we have 4 seats coming up to kind of do a resolution or whatever you have to do.
Is that 27, 28?
Yeah, is it next year is the 4? I don't know.
See, I have everybody's terms right here.
Meanwhile, move that we adjourn.
Yes, okay, so adjourned, but man. Was there a second?
I'll second.
Oh, here forever.
Okay, all in favor? Meeting is adjourned at 6:30.